12 laps, the scheduled distance, in glorious sunshine now. It's late in the afternoon here at Oulton Park, but as you can see, lining the fence, a very enthusiastic crowd. Oulton Park has a tradition of sidecar racing, and Chris Walker, not in pit lane, forming up on the grid. He'd actually done a drive-through, and so he effectively did 2 sighting laps. So ever the enthusiastic Walker. Gary Horspoll, well, luck again, out of it. So Gary Horspoll and Jimmy Connell sidelined. They've been here for 3 days and it's all come to nothing because we only have the one race. So Gary Horspoll climbing out of the outfit. So we're one down. Watch the lights at the top of the screen. Out they go. Tim Reeves then from the right hand side. Through goes Andy Peach and Ken Edwards on his Suzuki. So up behind Chris Walker goes Andy Peach, number 4, into the lead. It's Tim Reeves scything through into second. Ricky Stevens, Ryan Charwood on the JG Speedfit Cool Kawasaki. Down they go, Dentons to Cascades, the left-hander. Taken in third, maybe even sometimes second gear, but third gear. Out of Cascades they go, sprinting along, up through the gearbox, over the rise to Island Bend, pulling top gear here, about the only part of the circuit they are in top. They're at Island Bend now, nudging it down back to 5th. Back down the gearbox again to 3rd for the cambered Shellhorse Heaven. Look at Chris Walker and Ashley Hawes. Underneath then goes Alan Pounds, underneath Lewis Blackstock and Paddy Rosley on the short bike. They were in World Championship action when we were at Brands, so it's their first exposure to the 2017 Hyundai Heavy Industries British Sidecar Championship. Walker and Hawes then on board with Phil Bell and Tony Belsey, passing Ben and Tom Birchall on the Mitchells of Mansfield 600 Yamaha. They're fighting back though, but they're bound to be on the grass because Phil Bell got the verdict. Big bike versus small bike. You heard from Ben Birchall how quick their bike is on corner speed, but they've got to be able to use it. They did not make the best of their 5th place start, I can tell you. They were something like 8th on the first lap and they got duffed up by the 1000 cc's. So Ben and Tom Birchall with a lot of work to do. Leaders, Reeves goes through, then it's Stevens, then it's Kershaw, then it's Walker, still in 5th place. It's Andy Peach and Ken Edwards, but Ben Holland and Stuart Ramsey with the yellow helmets on the number 60. Hannafin Kawasaki are in 6th and really charging, but this is the battle again. Through goes Chris Walker and Ashley Hawes, using all the track and more on the exit of Old Hall Bend. Down to Dentons then, away they go to Cascade. So Walker then established now in 3rd place behind Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood, the reigning champions. Kershaw and Stuart Clark, number 29, the Scottish pairing. Brilliant performance from them at Brands, but they know they've got new talent on their hands. Oh, Andy Peach losing out to Ben Holland and Stuart Ramsey. The Hannafin Kawasaki going past the somewhat aged Suzuki, I have to say, of Andy Peach and Ken Edwards. They had a couple of teething problems in practice, and I can see smoke coming from the rear tyre of that bike as he spins it up. Maybe those problems have persisted into the race. This is the battle then for 3rd place, number 9 on the Santander Salt Kawasaki. Oh, look at that. Here's his chicane, Walker and Ashley Hawes. Just look at the way the passenger moves. You can appreciate from that shot, can't you, just what it takes to passenger one of these 200 horsepower monsters over Clay Hill. Race leaders, the Reeves brothers, Tim and Tristan, Ricky Stevens, Ryan Charwood. Look how close they all are. He's not getting away. I know we're only on lap 2 here, but Reeves is not getting away from these guys. They're all pretty much at same lap pace. Kershaw, number 29, hunting down again Chris Walker. Up to 5th, it's Holland. Phil Bell up to 6th. A hand in the air for Andy Peach. So my prediction has come to fruition. Peach out of the running. Ken Edwards is passenger. Hand in the air, so a mechanical issue. It has to be on lap 3 for Andy Peach. So more work to do in the workshop on that Suzuki, but what a shame for him. Peach then, for so many seasons a front runner, is having something of a difficult start to 2017. Not so Tim and Tristan Reeves though on the Carl Cox sponsored Kawasaki, the bike that they took to victory in 2015. Then sold it to New Zealand to Carl Cox, went to ride it over the winter period this year, and he said, why don't you take it back and attack the British Championship with it? That's exactly what they've done. lap record then, 1:41.979. It was 1:42.5, so he's taken 0.6 out of his own lap record, set here in 2015 with Gregory Clues, his French passenger, who I'm going to say for the time being is retired, because I cannot believe somebody of Gregory Clues' stature will walk away from a sport that he loves so much. 5th place, Holland and Watson. 6th place, Phil Bell, up to 7th on the road now, the Virtual Boys, and 8th on the road, John Holden and Mark Wilkes. Chris Walker, desperate to get a victory. He knows that he's done a fantastic job after his rookie season getting onto the front 3 or 4, but leading a race to the checkered flag is something of a different proposition, as he is freely admitting. This man in something of a class of his own, Tim and Tristan Reeves, number 77. A polished act, there is no doubt about it, but Tim will be the first to admit that all the others are getting quicker all the time. Number 44, Gary Bryan and Ben McBride in a scrap with Alan Fountain and Tom Peters on the Brian Gray 600cc Yamaha. And to back up Ben Birchall's words, the 600s are every bit as quick round here. Pete Founds, number 72, the older brother of Alan Founds on the short bike. Pete Founds, passengered by Jevon Walmsley. He's having a good, strong ride in this race. Phil Bell, Tony Belsey on the ex-Sean Hegarty Suzuki, and a spinner. That looked like, it's Ben Holland. Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey out of it. They didn't want that at the Shell Oil's hairpin, but they're back on the grass and they're going. Have they, though, done any damage? A bit of a wave, look over the shoulder. Well, not sure what that means, but they're on track. A mountain to climb, but is there a chance? Reeves now stretching that advantage. You can see it's almost half the start-finish straight, but Stevens and Charwood still very much in touch. It's damage limitation. Look at Chris Walker and Ashley Hawes. This battle between them and Steve Kershaw, Stuart Clark on the Blink Bonnie Express Tyres Kawasaki. Further down the order, Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey ahead of Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley on the Truss and Construction Suzuki going, oh dear me, that's Gary Bryan who's behind them, but he has a massive shunt as he's done damage to the front of Alan Founds and Tom Peters' Brian Gray Power Biking LCR, the number 8 bike. So there's been contact there. The wheel arch has collapsed a little bit on the front of it, but who's that out of the running? That looks like John Holden. It is John Holden and Mark Wilkes parking it up. Both the boys fit. That's obviously a mechanical issue. Mark Wilkes and John Holden devastated, of course. After a World Championship ride at Le Mans, they came here with World Championship points. In the pits now, Ben Holland. So whatever it was happened to him at Shell Oil's hairpin, there's some damage there. His race is over, and parked behind him, Rupert Archer and Steve Thomas, who've been plagued with, there is Steve Thomas walking, plagued with electrical problems all weekend. So the Hannafin team leave Oulton Park empty-handed. Not so Kershaw Racing. They are on the hunt of Chris Walker and Ashley Hawes. And it's fair to say that Chris Walker in his second sidecar season has got his hands full with these Flying Scotsmen, that's for sure, just as he did at Brands Hatch. They are having a stellar start to the 2017 campaign, these boys. 29 then, Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark, who jumped in for this year, having ridden previously at pretty much local events, not really national status passenger, Stuart Clark, but what a fantastic job he has done and is doing, it's fair to say. So he's really stepped up to the plate. Ashley Hawes using all of his World Championship expertise to good effect. Just watch the passenger again as the sidecar wheel just paws the air coming up to the Shell Oil's hairpin. Back to third gear for this one. Round they go, the banking helping to keep them tight. So they're certainly not going to slide off the apex there, that's for sure. Down towards Britain chicane. But meanwhile, the Pete Founds, Gary Bryan battle going on. Alan Founds going through underneath. So the Founds brothers now line astern. Pete Founds leading, Alan Founds number 8 in second, Gary Bryan and Ben McBride relegated one place. on lap 7 of 12. So only just over half distance here at Oulton Park in the sunshine, as Kershaw is as close now as he has been for a while on the back of Chris Walker. Is he going to find a way through? 1000cc Kawasaki plays 1000cc Kawasaki. Big Bob, the slogan on the front of Kershaw's bike. His brother Bob very much in the paddock here. Through go Phil Bell and Tony Belsey for what looks to be like a retirement. Oh, Tony Belsey going across to see what the issue is with Phil, indicating that it could be something to do with his right wrist. That's the sort of message I was getting from the body language. Whether he's sprained it, twisted it, or it's an old injury has reared its head, we have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. Chris Walker, then Ashley Hawes, still keeping their noses clean and keeping tidy ahead of the Kershaw-Clark pairing. Here they go again, up towards the Shell Oils hairpin. They're at Island Bend now, this very fast 5th gear left-hander. Let's look at Kershaw's line into the hairpin. Is he going to try and stay tight? He's certainly staying tighter than Chris Walker did, who went in there, just lost the back a little bit. But what a job Chris Walker does on this thing. Down they go towards the Britain's chicane. The left-right flick, kicking the sidecar wheel up. No need for the passenger to work that. Got to stay. Oh, Kershaw's alongside. Over hilltop. Neck and neck they go. Who's got the verdict as they go down to his? Well, I'm denied that because Phil Bell has now got Pete Founds, number 72, on the Suzuki, with Jevon Walmsley climbing all over the sidecar wheel arch and the rear wheel to get the grip down. Phil Bell with the fire-breathing Suzuki, rounding Cascades up towards Island Bend, at the Shell Oils hairpin. Round they go, and Alan Founds, Tom Peters, number 8 on the 600cc. Likewise, their brother, 72, on the 600 Suzuki, are now right. Well, they're past Phil Bell. The short chassis, again, a flick of the sidecar wheel. The Founds boys then with Bell, the filling in the sandwich here, number 18. But Phil Bell, it's so good to see him back. I said it in the Brands Hatch round, and I'll say it again here at Oulton Park. A brilliant, brilliant competitor. The Founds boys then are now line astern because Bell has got back behind them. He's now got Gary Bryan, number 44, and Ben McBride. But we know that Phil Bell is riding with something of a handicap. It looks to me as though Tony Belsey has an injury to his wrist, and that certainly is not what you want round here. Gary Bryan, 44 then on the Santander Salt Kawasaki. Is he going to fight? Oh yeah, the answer's there. Phil Bell easing the pace. He's going to have to ease the pace if he's got a crocked passenger. Dean Nichols, number 11, and Kenny Cole on the 1000cc Kawasaki taking the scenic route through the chicane. Well aware that the fast men are coming past. Phil Bell into pit lane, so he and Tony Belsey are retiring the Marin Motorsports ex-Sean Hegarty Suzuki. Oh, Chris Walker, Ashley Hawes, sensationally out of it, onto the grass. A shake of the head from Ashley Hawes. Oh, and is the passenger rolling around? Somebody else is on the grass. Has there been a coming together? That looks to me like Brian Gray's passenger, Sam Nicholas. Here is Brian Gray, number 7, under the bridge. It's about 130 miles an hour, and the passenger comes out the back, over and over and over down the tarmac. Mercifully, no outfits in close company. Race leader Tim Reeves comes round and a red flag is out, so we have a premature stoppage to the race, but Nicholas climbs over the barrier and collapses on the grass, relieved as much as anything, I would suspect. But that's it then. A result declared for Tim and Tristan Reeves on the Carl Cox Motorsport Kawasaki. Victory number 3. So they will march on to 75 points. Stevens and Charwood very much closer this time. Not even 4 seconds adrift. Kershaw and Clark claim that third with Chris Walker's retirement. The Birchells, look at that. And the Cup boys all together. So Alan Founds and Tom Peters did everything they had to do to keep the Birchall boys at bay. Brilliant, brilliant race. Scott Parnell and Mick Fairhurst there in 14th. Well done, lads. Philippe Galland from France and his Belgian passenger, Flavien Berton.